How do you want to be remembered? My grandfather died about 40 years ago. So at the time, I was in my early 20s, and I still remember him. When I was a young boy, he would call me over to him where he was sitting, and he would put his arm around me and say, "Louis, you're the best in the West." And we would have interactions and conversations that always made me feel like he really appreciated and valued our time together. He, this was in the 1970s and the late 60s and 1970s. And back then, I feel like everybody had a workshop because when there was a problem with the washing machine or the dryer, or there was a problem with the lawnmower was broken, people didn't just get rid of them and go out and buy a new one. They had a workshop and they fixed it, or at least in my family, that's the way things worked. And so my grandfather had this great workshop in his basement. And I used to love to go down there. There were tools all over the place, and there were parts, and I remember there were jars with screws in them, and jars with nails in them, and bolts. And it was just a really cool place for a kid to explore. And my grandfather would work down there, doing a repair on some one thing or another. And I would watch him work, and he would teach me about what he was doing, and he would show me how to use tools. And I can remember specifically he was teaching me. He was so patient. He would allow me to help him do the job. I mean, I'm sure he could have gotten that job done in a fraction of the time if he just went ahead and did it, but I was never a bother to him. And he really enjoyed teaching me about what he was doing. So um, I was using a screwdriver one day, and he was allowing me to take a screw out or put a screw into one thing or another. And as a young boy, I used two hands on that screwdriver to get the screw out. And he would say to me, "Louis, you need to learn how to use a screwdriver with one hand. It's very important to be able to use a screwdriver with one hand." So I would watch how he used it, and he would put the end of the handle in the palm of his hand, and he would be able to turn the screwdriver with his fingers in one direction or another, holding the screwdriver and turning it with the same hand. And so every time I picked up a screwdriver between then and now, I practiced using a screwdriver with one hand. And I still use a screwdriver nowadays with one hand. And every time I use a screwdriver, I think of my grandfather because he taught me how to do that. And if you were there while I was using the screwdriver, I'd probably be telling you the story about my grandfather teaching me how to use the screwdriver. So I remember my grandfather as a very kind and generous and loving man. And he was, he was, to me, he was a great man, just the same as my father. My father was a great man. And I'm not talking about great men on the level of fame um, and and notoriety on a big level. I'm talking about in my home and in my community. My grandfather and my father were great men, and that's how I remember them. So, how do I want to be remembered in my family? I would like to be remembered in a similar way with my family. And the same about how do I want to be remembered at my job. I've been at my job now for 14 years. By the time I retire, I will have been there for 17 or 18 years. And sure, at my job, I would like to be remembered as a hardworking leader who was always fair with other people. But that's not really the most of what I would like to be remembered for. There are some younger men that I work with that have gone through some struggles, the same as many of us have gone through struggles when we were younger. And I try to mentor those men, not only at work, but in life. And I try to help them stay on a path where they can be the best men that they can possibly be for themselves and for their families. So that's really in my job what I would like to be remembered for. In my community and in among my friends, there's another, there's another level of what I would like to be remembered for. And we take for granted that we have interactions with people on a daily basis that are not at work and that are not in our families, but we interact when we go to the grocery store with people. We interact when we go to the bank with people. When we stop to get fuel in the morning on the way to work, we interact with people. When we're out on a walk, we interact with our neighbors. And how do you want to be remembered in that group? Because I believe that however we are remembered in our community and among strangers is how we will be remembered at work and how we will be remembered in our families. We can't be two different people. We can't be kind and considerate and compassionate to our family members and a different person in the public and when we stop at the grocery store. We can't be. We're either we the way we are with one person is the way we are with every person. So um, I'm putting this message out because I think it's important to understand that the way we treat people that we don't know is probably the same way we treat people that we do know. So if we want to share love and kindness and respect with our families, we should be sharing that with people that we don't know. So that's my message for today. If you got any value out of this video, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe, and leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear how you'd like to be remembered. I hope you have a great day. Peace.